Hi, hello everyone. This is Charlene Afrique, Charlene Sonia. I'm here today to make a video on if you don't like school. If you watch my channel from now on, you're gonna really enjoy school. Yeah, so today we're gonna talk about fluids and electrolytes in relation to how it relates to like the concept of like an erection. If you really want to yeah, so stay tuned to understand what I mean so I don't sound like kind of crazy position. Our body is mainly made up of water, so it's made up of 60% fluids and 40% solids. So within the 60% of fluids, we have two compartments in the body. So in our body, we have two compartments of fluids. We have the intracellular fluids and the extracellular fluids. So like the intracellular fluids pretty much means the fluids that are in your cells. So that's the reason why it's really important to drink your water, because your cells are made up of your cells are made up of 70% of fluids. Extracellular fluids is the other compartment, which is outside the cell. And the extracellular fluids is made up of the interstitial, which is made up of 22% of fluids of the 30%, the intravascular, which is your blood vessel, and the transcellular, which is like the fluids around your organs, like the like the fluids around your heart. And yeah, so interstitial, an example would be like lymph fluids. Yeah, so pretty much like I'm gonna show you guys, like, you can see it. So this is it. Body composition. Body cellular is made up of ITT, interstitial, intravascular, and transcellular. Okay, so now that we understand body composition and the compartments of fluids in the body, I'm gonna go on to tell you guys that, or to have you understand that we also have like electrolytes in the body. And electrolytes are pretty much like charged ions. Like we have cations and anions, and today I'm gonna focus on two cations, which are potassium and sodium. And you know, sodium, we have sodium in our food all the time, and potassium is just another electrolyte that you might get from drinking. And I want to compare. The reason I chose these two electrolytes is because it's like they're like the famous electrolytes or cations in our body, you know. So we have like sodium. Sodium usually likes to say stay outside the cell, and sodium likes to say inside the cell, relax inside the cell. Everything in life is always moving from high concentration to low concentration. So I'm just giving you guys information so that you can kind of understand the concept at the end of what I'm trying to teach you, or what I'm trying to have you understand. An example is like, you know, in our daily lives, like you know, jobs like McDonald's and like KFC and like you know, cleaning, those jobs are available, but nobody wants to do those jobs. So it's like people go to school and get education and get like a job where like there's less concentration of people. Like, you know, the bottom pole is always full versus the top where we have low and less people. With this concept, we're gonna focus, like I said, on sodium and potassium. We're gonna look at the sodium and potassium pump, right? Again, when you think about it, your blood vessel, which is outside the cell, which is where sodium is, right? Like if there's too much sodium, there's going to be too much salt. So where there's high concentration of the salt, is going to move from inside the cell to with water into the interstitial space if there's too much pressure, or if there's too much salt inside the extracellular space. So just understand that things always move from where there is a lot of things, where there are a lot of things, to where there is less things. Okay, potassium and sodium, the way I look at it is like, you know, in terms of electrolytes, sodium is married to potassium, right? Potassium is chill, and I will always say like potassium is like the chill husband. I personally think husbands should always be chill, you know. So potassium is chill, he's in the cell, he's calm, whereas sodium is like the restless type of like wife. I mean, women are crazy sometimes, most of the times. So sodium is like the wife. So sodium and potassium are married in that way, where like potassium is chill, sodium is restless. But when you look at it, sodium and potassium are both positive. So they're cations. Because they're positive, they can expand and grow and like build an empire and houses and children, you know, because they are both positive electrolytes, both positive, or they are both cations, right? So hopefully you guys understand. Or is with water, and that's the concept of diffusion. So it's like a pump, like, okay, so like I explained to you guys, like sodium likes to say outside the cell. So this is outside the cell, and I said they were usually women, and they're restless. So there's too much going on over there. There's too much positive, too much sodium outside the cell. And inside the cell you have potassium. Usually there's less concentration of potassium inside the cell. It's still positive, but it's like less potassium inside the cell. So usually the woman is gonna join the man, or you know, inside the cell, and then the cell is going to become more positive, right? So like the wife sodium, it gets married to potassium, and then they become very, very positive. So positive that like you know, the high concentration to low concentration, so they're so positive that they make shit happen. So this is when I want you guys to understand, to just look at it in a different way, right? So this is another way to look at it. This is just an action potential. If you never really understood it in school, maybe you'll understand it now. So you have like an action potential gradient. So yeah, again, like I said, inside the cell you have potassium right here. It's at its resting potential. I don't know if you guys can see. Resting potential is at -70 usually, right? It's positive. So then you add potassium. When you add potassium, there's like a stimulus. So then you add more sodium to it. It gets to the threshold. Once it gets to the threshold, it's like the minimum stimulus that you can have for it to like depolarize, or so it becomes unpolar. So it goes, and there's positive sodium with positive potassium, and then they reach the peak. And this is what I was trying to explain to you guys. When sodium and potassium meet, they create an empire, right? Wealth, love, and everything. So that's what I call action potential. So they get to action potential, the peak, then it repolarizes. And for me, it's kind of like to repose. In French, it means to rest, to like rest. And then they just, now that they have done so much, they kind of relaxed, they're chill, they understand each other, they tolerate each other, and then then it goes down again, and it goes all the way past the resting potential and hyperpolarize. Again, it becomes really polar. Like it might be one of those days that like potassium and sodium doesn't get along. Yeah, but then they rest, and then they like they can't stand each other, and the whole cycle continues again. I hope you guys understand this whole thing. I know in school we see these things and we just don't know how it relates to our real life, but pretty much that's what they're trying to have us understand, you know. And I'm using an action potential chart. I like laugh, but like as soon as I saw it again in a different perspective, I was like, oh my god, that's what an erection is, you know. When it comes to an erection, which is, this whole thing is used when they're discussing like muscle contraction or nerve impulse, right? So, and every single one of these things has a different resting potential or a different threshold number or action potential, but it's the same concept, right? So we have a whole neuron. I know you sometimes in school, I don't know if you guys are like me, I just was like, how does this relate to my life? I don't know what like it didn't make sense to me, but it's a nerve, like it's like a end to it. So that's a nerve impulse. You get a nerve impulse from this, I think the dendrites, from like you're getting first, and it goes through the spinal cord, and that's what usually is like S1 and S2, right? So this is the same graph that I showed you guys before. It's the same exact graph, but then we're going to use the graph in terms of like an erection, right? So the way I look at it is like, you know, man or woman is usually like, you know, very, very stimulated in the brain, but the stimulus that men get is like visually, you know. So I thought about it like, okay, I'm gonna say men because potassium is at the bottom over here. Because like we said, potassium, there's too many women, and then there's like less men down here, and in the world there are more men than women. So we're gonna talk about potassium because potassium is inside the cell, right, chilling. Potassium is a man, you know. He's gonna marry sodium. So let's say like the husband is chilling in the home, he's relaxing, whatever, he went to work, he's tired. So then he has a thought, like he's like, oh my god, my wife is so beautiful, she's caring, she's blah blah blah, like he's thinking about her. He's like, oh my god, she smells so good, she's, you know, she's caring, she's just amazing, you know. And then she comes in, she's like, she touches him, and he's like, oh my god, you're the best thing in the world, like, you know. So that's what I'm talking about when there's a stimulus, the minimum stimulus that he get in order to get to action potential, into action, you know. You get action potential, action. So then there's a threshold, like where you get the minimum stimulus. Is it like the thought of it? Is it like the sense? So let's say like the minimum stimulus is like he thinks of his wife, like, you know, like right before he gets home, and that's the stimulus, the threshold. So then like the pressure builds up, when he gets home, he smells her, he just, you know, he sees her, she looks really nice and stuff, you know, he touches her, and then the pressure, which is also depolarization. There's pressure is the X word, but like intercourse. So there's like pressure peak to the peak, you get it, like also called this. I don't want to say because I don't know if you have children watching my video. No, children are not going to watch it. So you have that, which is also called action potential. Can you guys see it? I hope you all can see it. And once that happens, think about it, like boom, 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 pow, all that pressure is released, you know, and then it repolarizes. It goes, stimulus can really do anything. Like it's like the person is, usually it's men, women like to cuddle and stuff, but usually men are gonna get so tired, like they don't want to, usually if they like you enough, they might maybe cuddle and like just, but usually they don't want to do anything else. They just want to be left alone, like they want to sleep, and then the cycle goes again and again. Showed earlier that you guys couldn't see. Video is be positive. If you're positive, meet another positive person, and then you guys can build and make something big. If you're negative, you probably want to meet with another positive person so that it can make you more positive and balanced. I don't think opposite attract, honestly. And so that's the lesson from this video. The other lesson is like, things are always going to move from high concentration to low concentration unless there's like energy. So you never want to force anything, because that's too much energy, you know. That's just too much energy. Transport, usually you need energy to force things against the concentration gradients. So you want things to move like naturally from like high, like if you're ambitious, just be with an ambitious person, because you guys are gonna bam make shit happen. Watching my video, thank you. I thank you. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. please, if you like the video, like it. If you didn't, don't like it. And please, you can give me constructive criticism, not just criticism. I welcome constructive criticism. Thank you for watching my video. Again, this is Charlene Afrique, Charlene Sonia. Bye bye.